Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the inaccurate news that we are getting about the market. The second thing I'm going to talk about the M2 money supply, what it is and how is it related with the S&P 500. The third thing I'm going to talk about margin debt and what it is and how is it related with the market and how the reduction of the margin debt will create a chaos in the market. The fourth thing I'm going to talk about the Buffett indicator and what does it tell about the valuation of the market. If you have come here for the truth, let me unveil that for you. First of all, I want to talk about two articles from CNBC. The first article says that Morgan Stanley says a 10 to 20% correction is ahead, get defensive and buy staples. This article was published on July 19th at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now understand that Morgan Stanley is clearly showcasing a bearish pattern and it predicts that there is a market correction ahead in the month of August. Morgan Stanley also says that the investors need to cut down on their position from the more volatile stocks. So it clearly predicts that there will be volatility in the market during this market drop. Now, the second article, which is also published in CNBC on July 19th at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, says completely opposite about the market. Peak growth means these global stocks are now a buy according to Barclays. Now, just imagine that in the morning they said the market is bearish, but by the end they changed it completely as bullish. So, as an investor who's reading a particular article, he thinks that the market is bearish or bullish independently. But if you compare these two articles, there is clear discrepancy in the market. I've seen many such articles in this manner wherein the same news channel portrays a bullish and a bearish trend at the same time. They play a two-sided game where they confuse the investors, and during any situation they can portray that their analysis was spot on. Always do your research independently and never go blindly by the articles. To fact check about the previous articles, first we are going to talk about the M2 money supply. M2 is a calculation of the money supply that includes all elements of M1 as well as near money. M1 includes cash and checking deposits, while near money refers to savings deposits, money market securities, mutual funds, and other time deposits. These assets are less liquid than M1 and are not as suitable as exchange mediums, but they can be quickly converted into cash or checking deposits. M2 is a measure of the money supply that includes cash, checking deposits, and easily convertible near money. M2 is closely watched as an indicator of money supply and future inflation and as a target of central bank monetary policy. M2 as a measurement of the money supply is a critical factor in the forecasting of issues like inflation. Inflation and interest rate have major ramifications for the general economy as these heavily influence employment, consumer spending, business investment, currency strength, and trade balances. In the United States, the Federal Reserve publishes money supply data every Thursday at 4:30 p.m., but this only covers M1 and M2. In the United States, the Federal Reserve dual mandate is to balance unemployment and inflation. One of the ways it does this is by manipulating M2 money supply. M2 provides important insights into the direction, extremity, and efficacy of the central bank policy. M2 has grown along with the economy, rising from 4.6 trillion in January 2000 to 18.45 trillion in August 2020. The supply never shrank year over year at any point in that period. The most extreme growth occurred in September 2001, January 2009, and January 2012 when the rate of M2 expansion topped 10%. These accelerated periods coincided with recession and economic weakness during which expansionary monetary policy was deployed by the central bank. Increased money supply during the pandemic. In 2020, the M2 supply went from 15.51 trillion in February, right before the COVID-19 pandemic really took hold, to 18.45 trillion in August, well into the pandemic, a jump of nearly 19%. The increase reflected the tough economic period and the Federal Reserve's action to cut interest rate to nearly historic lows and increasing the money supply overall. Now just imagine that when the expansion topped 10%, it was coincided with recession and economic weakness. Now what will be the situation when the expansion jumped to 19%? This is left to your imagination. Look at the chart everyone. This chart showcases the relationship between the M2 money supply and the S&P 500. This data is coming directly from the Federal Reserve. Now the red line indicates the S&P 500 and the blue line indicates the M2 money supply that is being pumped into the market. Since 2019, the M2 money supply has constantly increased, and at the beginning of the pandemic, the money supply increased dramatically. Also in this chart, you see a relationship between the M2 money supply and the S&P 500. Whenever the M2 money supply is reduced from the economy, the S&P 500 gradually reduces. Also, just look at the reading where M2 money supply reporting has been discontinued and it was last reported on February 1st, 2021. Now, this clearly showcases that there is some insider trading going on or some shady thing going on in the Federal Reserve where they are not reporting their actions. They do not want to spook the market regarding inflation or by reducing the M2 money supply, because their actions in any direction will create a serious recession in the economic markets. Now, one thing we need to know is that the M2 money supply is not the sole driver of the market. Other thing which is also a key driver of the market is margin debt. Margin debt is the amount of money an investor borrows from the broker via a margin account. Margin debt can be money borrowed to buy securities or sell short a stock. Regulation T sets the initial margin at a minimum of 50%, which means an investor can only take on a margin debt of 50% of the account balance. Margin debt, a form of leverage, can exacerbate gains but also exacerbate losses. So understand that margin debt is nothing but a loan taken to buy a security like a stock, and when you get good gains, then you can repay the loan. But if the losses are unbearable, then you clearly go into a serious debt. Now imagine this kind of debt when there is a 10 to 20% correction in the market, and imagine hundreds of billions of dollars lost on a single trading day. This article talks about how margin debt influenced the stock market. Investors have put more money into the stocks in the last 5 months than the previous 12 years combined. More money has gone into stock-based funds over the past 5 months than the previous 12 years combined, according to Bank of America. In raw numbers, $569 billion has flowed into the global equity fund since November, compared with $452 billion going back to the beginning of 2009 to 2020 bull market. There's a certain amount of logic to the markets right now, said Art Hogan, Chief Marketing Strategy at National Holdings. So just understand one thing, that this money was pumped because of margin debt. Margin debt has recently been skyrocketing and it has increased since the beginning of the pandemic. All these people have borrowed loans to buy stocks and they are in deep crisis. Also understand that many people have got this money out of nowhere and they have pumped the stock market in an unnatural fashion. Now the next chart talks about the relationship between the margin debt and the S&P 500. In this, the orange line is the S&P 500 and the blue one is the margin debt. The margin debt is at an all-time high and so is the S&P 500. The margin debt recently hit $883 billion. Just see the relationship between the margin debt and S&P 500. Now this relationship is very close when you look at the chart, wherein in December 2019 the margin debt clearly reduced from $579 billion to $479 billion. Now this reduction also resulted in the reduction of S&P 500. Now this was the same case since 2000 crash, 2008 financial market crash. The next chart talks about the S&P 500 PE ratio, which is the price to earnings ratio. The price to earnings ratio should generally be between 20 and 25. But right now the S&P 500 PE ratio is at 46.18. It means that the price you are putting into the market is 46 times its earnings. Now this reading has exceeded the 2000 internet bubble, and during 2008 financial crisis there was a technical glitch and the S&P 500 PE ratio went up to 160. This PE ratio clearly indicates that there is a serious market crash coming within the near future. And just imagine the valuation of the market. Any PE ratio above 25 is meant as overvalued market. But let's see what the Buffett indicator has to say about it. The Buffett indicator clearly suggests that the US market is strongly overvalued. The Buffett indicator is the ratio of total United States stock market valuation to GDP. It is at 234%. Now this chart talks about the value versus the historical trend since 1990. During the internet bubble, the stock market was 67% higher than the historical trend line, and right now the market is at 88% higher than the long time trend line. This level was never seen before. Now just imagine that the higher the market goes, the harder it falls. What do you think about the market? Are you bullish or are you bearish? Please put your comments, and if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.